Welcome to today's version of 10 in 10, top 10 notes in 10 minutes or less. American history today, I am covering Unit 10, Lesson 5. It's called Seeing Red Again, and this lesson uses textbook pages 131 to 135. Note number 1, you need to know the 1940s and 50s were prosperous, and Americans were not content. They were scared about communism. I think you can see my pointer here. They were scared about communism. And what is communism? You need to know communism is a type of government system where all property is publicly owned. So you don't own your house or you don't own your yard. Each person works and gets paid according to their abilities and their needs, and then they share everything. So they share all their food, they share all their businesses, all their homes, everything is shared. You don't really own anything. Some people thought that President Roosevelt, this is the president at the time, they thought his New Deal laws were inspired by communists. They thought maybe he was trying to make America communist, and here's why. He made this New Deal law, and it changed a lot. It made child labor laws more stringent. They couldn't have child labor. They made minimum wage standards, so you had to make a certain amount of money to work. Social Security was made so that if you were sick or you were elderly, you got paid money. There were new taxes that were made for people. They had to pay more. There was a narrower gap between rich and poor, so the richer were getting less rich and the poorer were getting less poor, and they were coming together. And they were advocating for this nationwide health care. They wanted to know who was going to pay for all of this. Note 3. Communist spies were discovered in the United States, and they found them in England as well. Some of the top British intelligence officials turned out to be Soviet spies, and they thought it was a big cover-up. Former State Department advisor Alger Hiss, he's found guilty of perjury, which is lying under oath that he was involved with communists. And so they think, oh my gosh, America is full of these communist spies. Note number 4, Joseph Stalin tests an atom bomb. This is terrifying. Up until now, the United States has thought it's alone in having this massive bomb. But Joseph Stalin goes and he detonates this test bomb, and we realize, oh my gosh, everybody has not everybody, but Russia has this bomb. And at the time, Joseph Stalin was considered a tyrant. American people were terrified he had this bomb. This is very scary. Top note number 5, China falls into a civil war. There's a battle between the nationalists and the communists, and ultimately the communists won. And so America begins to think, is the whole world going to become communist? We have Russia communist, we have China communist. Now they're beginning to think that maybe America might be turning communist. And then that leads us into note number 6. J. Edgar Hoover, he runs the FBI. He gives this speech, which kind of terrifies people. He says that at any given time in America, there are 500,000 people ready to help the communists. Doesn't really have proof of this, but it scares people who hear it, and they believe him. And so they start to think that there really are communists everywhere. People are trying to take their money to give to people who don't have money. We have experts in our government. This is note number 7. Experts in our government who kind of give their like the liaison. They kind of help us and they tell us what to do with foreign affairs. And they predict that in this Chinese civil war that the communists might end up winning. And Americans don't really want to hear this, and so they fire the people and they bring in new people. And the communists take over, and America really needs some help now, trying to figure out how to relate to China and how to talk with China, except for they fired all the people who could do that. They fired all the experts in China, all the experts on China. So we're kind of at a loss, and we don't really have the experts on our government staff that we need. Note number 8. North Korea invades South Korea. Well, North Korea is communist, and it wants to make everybody communist. South Korea is not communist. The problem with North Korea is it has all the latest weapons thanks to the Russians. Remember, Russia has the atom bomb, and they have all of these tanks, and they have all of these big bombs and weapons, and they help out North Korea. So North Korea has all the latest weapons, and they're going to go take over South Korea. U.S. is terrified because North Korea is communist, so they send in troops. And the United Nations, that's the UN, they quickly follow, and they also send in troops. And it starts the Korean War to help stop North Korea from invading. China enters Korean War, might as well, right? China sends its highly trained, well-equipped troops. They help North Korea out. All of a sudden, America finds itself in this very difficult war, and they're fighting with many different countries. They thought it was going to be kind of a quick get in, get out, get done. And all of a sudden Truman and his advisors are starting to really double think what did they just do. And they're thinking that this could be the start of World War III, and people are scared. Last note, note 10. American people are jittery and worried at this point. They begin to think that communism might just dominate the world, and it certainly seems so with all the communist activities in such a short amount of time. We begin to persecute people in America because we think they might be spies, and we send them to camps. And we do things that, looking back, don't make us proud. And, sorry, I have a little one in the background. This is referred to as the Red Scare. I'll be right there, Jacob. So here's what I want you to do. Go try your lesson assessment. If you don't pass it, read your textbook, pages 131 to 135. Highlight in your book, take notes, and try your assessment. Again, those Cornell notes are a great way to take your assessment. I know your English language arts teacher has gone over those with you. Try the assessment a second time. If you don't pass, remember you get 3 tries. So if you don't pass the second time, there's a reading guide on page 129 in your student guide. I want you to use your textbook to answer the questions on page 129, and then you have your textbook and that page 129's reading guide in front of you. And I want you to work through the lesson or work through that assessment with those 2 resources in front of you as you work through the lesson. If you don't pass it again, send me a K-mail, let me know, and I can unlock it for you, and we can talk about what else you can do. Good luck. See you tomorrow.